Hi there.
Hi. How you doing?
How you doing?
Thanks. Yeah.
David, it'll take a fairly strange run of results now for Sunderland to stay in the Premier League. Is there almost a feeling of resignation that you're going to be playing in the Championship next season?
Well, I think you're right with your question. I think that we'll need a really good run of results now for things to go our way. But while there's a chance, we're not going to admit to anything else. So we've got to try and win. We have done and said in every other game that we've had to try and win, and we've not done so. What I would say about this one, it's at home. We've got a great chance. We've played quite well in the recent games, so we'll take that into the game and hope that we get a result from it.
Given that all you've been up against this season, with the amount of injuries at the start, financially very little money to spend, is there almost a feeling that you just need this season, one way or the other, put to bed now so you can start afresh?
Well, I think what I want to do is that I can only do that once the season's over. I can't do anything until that happens. So what we've got to try and do is make everything possible happen that can happen in this season. So if we can win tomorrow, then it'll give us an opportunity to go again. But again, I've been repeating myself week in, week out on that, and we've not been coming up with the wins. But we'll keep trying to do it.
I heard the fans the other night down at the Riverside. Are you expecting a hostile environment tomorrow?
Well, I think supporters are entitled to shout and vent their frustrations. And there's been frustrations here for 4 or 5 years, it's not just this year. But the manager will always take the brunt of it. And I'll tell you where I'll be in the corner of the technical area tomorrow. So that's where I'll be, that's where I'll stand, that's where I'll do my work. And it won't change me.
So you're not one to shy away from any of that? You don't want to sort of listen to them?
No, all I want to do is I want the supporters to get behind the players and make sure we give the players every opportunity to win the game. That's the most important thing.
Does it hurt you personally to hear some of the things that the fans are chanting?
I think that I'm fortunate that I know a lot more about the runnings of the club and what goes on, so I'm a little bit privy to that. But obviously, they're the things that the supporters don't get to know.
You touched on it just a moment ago as well. There's been mistakes over a number of years, maybe even up to a decade here at Sunderland. Is there almost a feeling that you perhaps are sort of taking the brunt of that right now?
Well, I don't think I'm necessarily taking the brunt. I think that all the managers here have had a hard time, and I think whoever is sat in the seat, they've had frustrations themselves. So it's been the same for me. But until that time comes, we keep fighting, we keep trying to get the results. Winning makes things feel an awful lot better. Even winning a lot of the games at the end of the season could make everything look different.
If the worst happens at the weekend, could you potentially walk away from this job?
I'm here, I'm doing the job. My focus is to win the game, make sure I win the next game, do that. And as I said, at the end of the season would be the time to talk if we were going to talk about anything. So
you still feel between now and then you can turn things around or make a difference?
I think what you've said is make a difference is important. That we win the games, then it can change things around and look a bit different. I think the players have been performing well enough to take more than the points they have done. So let's hope we get a wee bit of good fortune that can happen.
How are your injuries? I know you had a couple patched up the other night, didn't you?
Yeah, we did, and we've got another couple tomorrow who we'll need to wait on probably till tomorrow before we can make decisions. Lee Catamol's getting an injury, Darren Gibson's getting an injury, Jack Rodwell's getting an injury. So all of them are under consideration for tomorrow. Jason Denier's getting an injury. So we'll have to just check them all out tomorrow.
And all midfielders?
Yeah, that group just happened to be all midfield players, yeah.
Thanks, David.
Cheers.
David, will Bournemouth, do you think, approach this game with a sense of freedom, more or less safe, and under Eddie Howe, obviously still playing some decent football?
Yeah, I watched them last week, and they played well against Middlesbrough. They've always been a good footballing team, Bournemouth, and we beat them down there. And if we can do that again, it'll be a good double for us. So we'll try and go and do that. Let's see if we can get the win. I think Bournemouth have got a lot of good things about them, but it's for us to try and find that win.
Yeah, that reverse fixture, it was the first win of the season, and you seem to have found a system there that was working and things were clicking. And do you think, perhaps looking back injuries and what have you just changed things and you couldn't recreate that?
Well, ultimately, losing Victor Amachibi was a problem that day. I think Paddy McNair started in the team, who's been out of the team. Duncan Watmore started in the team, who's been out with. So, but the one thing I've not wanted to do is in any way hide behind injuries. Part of the job in the Premier League is to have a squad good enough to deal with injuries, cope with it. And I've tried to get on and not talk about the injuries, talk more about the players who are fit.
Those wins across November and December meant you kept in touch with everyone. You always said you didn't want to be cut adrift. It now appears that you are. What point do you think was the sort of crucial weekend where you just lost that ground?
I thought we had gained big momentum after beating Crystal Palace, and I just felt that the period after that was, I'd got them all written out, the games. I knew we had to win, I knew the numbers, I knew the games which I had targeted, but as it happens, you don't always win the games that you expect to, and because of that then it puts you in trouble.
Were you and the players, do you think, need sort of thick skin this weekend and need to be strong characters?
I think you have to have thick skin in football all the time, whether you're a player, because if you're the player you cross the line, if you're the manager you take responsibility for all the players who cross the line on your behalf, so I think both have to do that.
I remember last season when Julian Lescott went down with Aston Villa with 4 games to spare, he said it was like a weight off the shoulders because it had been hanging around the club for a while. I'm assuming that won't be repeated.
No, I don't feel as if it's like a weight on our shoulders here. I feel as if what we've been trying to do is win the games, and every game we've really felt a chance of winning. And I do think that some of our performances recently, we're away at Watford, we've been away at Leicester, West Ham at home and Middlesbrough away. I feel as if in a lot of those games we've not quite got out the games that we've deserved.
I remember Alan Pardew using the phrase mass hysteria a couple of years ago with the crowd when they were sort of building to a bit of a head. Do you think it's not at that stage yet? Do you still feel there is a bulk of support here for you and the team? I think
the people support the team. They can pick and choose what they decide on with managers, but I think the support the team's a big thing. You always support your club, and I think the supporters here have done that over the season. When you signed at the start of the season, I'm assuming this wasn't part of the plan? No, definitely not. No, but sometimes football changes, things in the situation change as well. So it certainly wasn't part of the plan, that's for sure. And just finally for me, really, in terms of, I know yourself and Martin Bain have touched on the fact that players that have been signed in the previous years that we've discussed haven't been sold for a profit, and that's kind of hamstrung you and obviously managers down the years. Are you confident the guys that you've signed this season can develop and add value and kind of break that cycle, if you like? I hope so. I mean, I think probably January was the first transfer window where we made a profit here at Sunderland, so maybe that's one you talk about on its own, but you never can tell. Players have to perform well on the pitch. You bring them in always. All the managers who bring players in expect them to do well. Managers don't bring in bad players and think that they're not going to perform. Every manager wants their players to come in, perform well and do well, so I'm the same. Thank you.
David, do you get the sense that some of the players at least are now kind of running on empty after what's been a really tough season?
I agree that it's been a really tough season, and I think physically, it's getting to the end of the season where it's tough. They've been at it all year, but you're right, mentally is a big thing as well, and the biggest reason is because we've not been winning, and that in itself brings on pressure, because there's none of us enjoying losing, that's for sure. We don't come in here and smile because we're losing. We come in here and we're angry and disappointed, so that in itself probably is the biggest pressure.
When you are sort of mentally under pressure and demoralised, that has an impact on how you perform physically, doesn't it?
Well, we've tried to make sure that we've not been demoralised. We've tried to make sure that we're up for every game, we're prepared for every game. We make sure that the players know everything they need to know about the opposition. We try and have them physically in the best condition for every game, and we try and get them tactically ready to deal with the opposition. So we try and make sure that any fears they've got are not there.
And have some of the players still got time to prove to you that they are worth keeping next season?
Well, I've got a good knowledge of all the players now here. I've been here long enough to see what they've done. I've seen them through the bulk of the season now, so I've got an idea. As everybody's well aware, we had quite a big turnover of players last year. When I came in, there was a lot of players had gone and had to be replaced, and it looks like we'll probably have a big turnaround of players this year as well.
It has felt like a sort of long, drawn-out season, and they do say it's the hope that kills you. Will there be a sense of relief when the season comes to an end, regardless of what happens?
I think every time the season comes to an end, whether you're a football player or a football manager, it's a long season. So I think everybody goes, takes a breather and says, I'll be looking forward to a holiday. But, at this moment in time, while we've still got a chance, we're going to keep fighting. We've got to keep trying to win every game. And even if that doesn't work, then we've still got to do it, because we want to get a winning feeling back. We want to get a momentum back going into next season, whether it be in the Premier League or whether it be elsewhere.
And we've seen with Newcastle this season going down to the Championship and winning lots of games, the fans can be really kind of inspired by that, even if they're in a low division, and that could happen here too.
I talk about it a lot. Winning's probably the most important thing. You always want to win with a style and play in a good fashion. But I've always said that winning's the thing, because it completely gives you the chance to feel good about your weekend, feel good about the next week, get into the next game. But obviously we've not had a chance to feel that too often this year.
Sorry, David, just one. You've got the experience, obviously, even though you're not familiar with this particular situation, maybe, but you've got the experience in your managerial career that you can compartmentalise tomorrow and just concentrate on the one game. Is it possible for players to do that and not be weighed down by the big picture?
Well, we've tried to speak to them and say, take every game as it comes. Albeit I wanted to look at a bulk of games a while back where we could sort of look to see where we get the results that would get us the points to make sure we're in the Premier League. I think recently it's win the next game's been the key message to the players, and if we can do that, then we'll go on to the next one.
David, I know you might have other things on your plate on Saturday night, but would you like to watch your boxing?
I will watch the boxing, yeah. I quite enjoy it. I'm not an expert. I follow Tony Bellew very closely because he would come in and train at Everton, and we used to watch him training in there in the afternoons. So I'll watch it with interest.
Who do you fancy to win?
I'm not an expert again on it, and I wouldn't know who would be the one to choose really. But I think any big sporting matches, whether it be the heavyweight boxing, whether it be an FA Cup final, whether it be any sporting events, the golf like the Masters, I think I'm always keen on it, but I couldn't tell you who would be the winner.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Okay. Cheers. Thanks. Bye. No problem.